20 days till Bills camp. What are Bills fans talking about right now?
It's the last question somebody asked me about the Bills. I did do a radio hit in Charlotte yesterday. They're going through the schedule, and they got to the Bills. And, I mean, the first Bills question I got, and I feel like this has happened before on one of those, is, so what's everybody feel about McDermott right now?
Yeah.
Like, he's just good? He's safe? Does he have to win this year? And I basically was just like, I think everyone's either, one, has already been in the camp of they want him gone and have since 13 seconds, or two, they like him, or three, they're resigned to the fact that there's nothing that's going to happen anyway, so what's the point in really worrying about it?
What's everybody feel about McDermott? That's a good question.
Is that right, though, to be the first question about the Bills?
Well, there's a thing about this upcoming season that'll be interesting. What should you expect the defense to be? Last year was a down year for a McDermott defense. And if you say that, I think you have to admit you're complimenting him. That's a bad year. It wasn't that bad. Their defense was not a complete mess. But it was a bad year for them.
Yeah.
They got hit for more big plays. They couldn't get off the field on third down. They were not a great defense. They've had great defenses that have folded in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Now, Beane spends a ton of the draft capital rebuilding that defense, and free agency, you had pieces, no whale, but pieces. Bosa, Hoyt, Ogunjobi. These are veterans. These are guys that have shown they can play in the league. So I don't know. I don't know what Bills Mafia really expects. This defense better be ranked blank, or does it just come down to I need them to make a stop in January?
But we'll want to see signs during the regular season.
But even if you get those signs, we've had the Bills ranked number 3.
No, that's right.
Top defenses regular season get to the postseason and not get their stops. Sometimes that's because of injuries.
But maybe you'll be open to the fact that this year could be different if they are third in the league in defense over the course of the regular season. If they come out with all these new additions and look the same defensively as they did last year, maybe even worse if they're not getting the turnovers, then there will be an expectation that they're going to get lit up in the postseason.
Yeah. It kind of leads to I don't want to say it's a tough spot for McDermott, but let me give you 2 scenarios. In one scenario, they have the 3rd-ranked defense in the regular season.
Okay.
And then they go out in the playoffs because they can't make stops. In the second scenario, they have the 14th-ranked defense in the regular season. And then they go out because they can't make stops. Which is actually worse for McDermott? The one where they're 3rd.
It's a worse look. Yeah, it's a worse look.
Is it not? If they're just average and then lose because Lamar lights them up because the Ravens' offense is a wagon, then it's, I don't have the players. My coach had this level of defense. Maybe he didn't elevate them in the playoffs, but they had their flaws. They couldn't, fill in the blank here. They couldn't get to the passer. They couldn't stop the run.
Yeah.
Cole Bishop didn't work out. Like if whatever it is that keeps them from being a top defense, flip that around to they were great all regular season. McDermott showed us in the regular season he can get the job done. Then it got to when the lights were bright and it fell apart. I just feel like even though the ending is the same, the story that's written on the way to that ending will definitely affect how his job is viewed when it does end. Of course, they could win the Super Bowl. Like, I always want to say that because they're probably pretty good.
Yeah.
But to me, what the regular season will do, you're asking, will it leave fans open to they can win it? Sure. What the regular season will do will create the expectation in the playoffs. Let's say they're 20th defensively. If they're bad on defense again, you might get to McDermott, you might get to Beane, you might ask, why can't you put something together anymore?
Yeah, what do those games look like?
Right.
Does that become a bunch of games that look like the Bills-Lions game or the Bills-Rams game?
Just shootouts.
From last year?
I certainly don't expect. There's a reason you and I made a bet. McDermott will never have a bottom 10 defense because I think the guy can coach defense and build defenses, and they have put them in position to win an awful lot of games over the years. I know Allen bails them out whenever he needs them to, but there are a lot of games where this defense played pretty darn well under Sean McDermott. Part of changing the culture is years over years of consistent, very good defensive play. We had the stat for, what was it, over 7 years? Then they give up 40 fewer passing touchdowns than the next closest team.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that is an excellent resume for McDermott defensively. And we're kind of on a little bit of a reset here where, all right, next version of this. And the draft is about rebuilding it. The draft is about supplementing it. But the draft also will create, you've got a first, a second, a third, a fourth. You got all these picks. You got all these free agents. Your GM just went out and attacked it for you and flat out said, by the way, openly multiple times, it was the defense, it was the defense, it was the defense. So there are going to be expectations on him, and it's just kind of funny to think about for me that the regular season will determine what we want to see from McDermott in the playoffs or what we feel like he will have to perform with.
Right. But none of this gets him fired.
I don't think so.
And that was kind of my answer. Is like, I just don't think there is anything short of someday the quarterback saying I've had enough to where this would happen. I'm pretty confident of that. I mean, I hate to ask this question for like the third year in a row, but does another Kansas City loss even do it? Because it's the same team over and over, and that could cause an extra layer of frustration and annoyance. Because I don't. I think they could lose to Kansas City the next 3 years, and I'm not sure he'd be fired.
I don't mean this to be snarky in any way, but the owner of the hockey team has a GM entering his 6th consecutive offseason with no playoff appearances. And if what am I going to do with the head coach of the football team that keeps getting me to the AFC Championship game? The owner seems to believe in process, larger samples, give time. Right. Is the plan working? And in the hockey side, the plans have not been working, and there's not often great change. Right. And on the football side, the plan consistently works. So I would be shocked to see a big change for the Bills at the top if they went just as far and lose again. I mean, we would all lose our minds, and I feel like they would lose their minds again and be furious and be upset and wonder why it keeps happening. But
I'm telling you, it would take Josh losing his mind. It would take Josh being. He's not like this yet. I wonder if he ever will, because Brady turned into more of this at the end, and Rodgers turned into more of this into his 30s.
Brady was never going to push out Belichick. He lost that battle.
No, he just left.
He left.
He just left.
Let me give you one more scenario there. As you're saying, like Josh losing his mind. The only other thing it could be, and it's if McDermott and Beane are in fact splittable. Could that pair be split? And I tend to think that one thing people make a mistake on is viewing them as a package deal. But the other part of it is this. In a scenario where, you're a head coach and a GM that are butting heads or at odds, or you feel like you're both hitting your head on the ceiling. And I'm not trying to paint a picture like they're blaming each other. You asked me, this is a question from a Charlotte radio station about McDermott that we've got on this conversation.
Right,
but
yeah.
Let's say that the two of them want to work without the other one. Somebody wants to work without the other. I need a new head coach. I'm the GM. I need a better coach. The coach, I need a better GM who's going to give me things that I want instead of, not that we don't even exactly know all the inner workings. But all I'm trying to get to is neither of them will leave Josh. No one. You don't get a scenario where the GM says, you know what, I'm just going to take a different job here because I think we.
Yeah, no.
It's not.
Remember when Tomlin got asked a couple years ago whether he was leaving for the USC job? Like McDermott's not getting that question. Nobody would expect that.
Nobody that has their head on straight is ever leaving Josh Allen, which leads to the only way something changes at the top is, I think, if there is a split. Mm-hmm. I don't think Pagula would ever consider doing both. Things are going great. If they were to lose and there was ever going to be a split, it's someone's kicked out because the other person got to stay, and they both will want to stay with Josh. Because if you're a GM, Josh is a cheat code. And if you're a coach, Josh is a cheat code. Mm-hmm. It is not a team that is banging its head on the ceiling and you think, the quarterback might just be okay. If Chris Greer wanted to leave Miami because he has another job opportunity, like, Tua's good, but I could go somewhere and get something else.
Sure.
You would never think that as a coach or the GM of this team.
No, never.
You would never think, you know what, grass is greener over there. It's not.
No. Josh allows you here to kind of misstep at your own job and get away with it.
Oh, yeah.
And if you misstep in similar ways on other teams, it is like the thing. It's highlighted. It is like you see it. Whereas Josh can cover it up.
803-0550. 20 days to camp. Jeremy and Joe, give us a ring. Happy Thursday. It's beautiful again. Really an incredible run of weather here. 4th of July tomorrow. Have a happy and safe holiday. Of course, extended weekend. Sal's gone for a while, huh?
Sal is going to Italy next week.
Italy.
He's going to Italy. In the middle of July, by the way.
It's probably lovely.
It's lovely. It's going to be, I bet it's going to be hot, though.